Good morning. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9 on your radio dial. We're getting ready to get things going. We are going to have a great show today. We want to invite you to get in on the conversation at 205-342-9904. That's the Alabama One hotline. We are open for business. We're live, local, and ready to get things going. Also simulcasting on Tide 109 on Facebook, Martin Houston Live on Facebook and YouTube. Also broadcasting on Alabama Tradition and the Martin Houston personal page. Got a lot going on there, but hey, we're able to do it. We also got YouTube followers joining us as well as at Martin Houston 35 on Twitter. So a lot of options and opportunities and ways to get engaged and involved with the Martin Houston Show. But most importantly, remember that this is the Martin Houston Show, the Sound of Bama Sports, your show, your team. So let's get it rolling. Love to hear from you today on this Wild Card Wednesday. We'll have X's and O Sports, Xavier Houston, joining us this morning to be a part of the conversation. But as we get ready to move into that, I want to remind you that this is a day that the Lord has made, so let's rejoice and be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. Today, we want to talk a little bit about the opportunities that are before the Alabama Crimson Tide. Going to do a little word association. I don't know if you've ever played that game. We'll play that game with Xavier and Joe and you as well. So just prepare to be a part of the conversation. If I say a word, I want to know, hey, what are you thinking? What when you hear that word, that name? It may be one or two words, but what's the first thought that comes to your mind? So we'll do that to get things going. Also, we'll look at maybe a little Bama analysis based on how the program go, and then we'll wrap things up with Scotty Holland, Executive Director of Blueprint Ministries. Good morning, X. Good morning, Joe. How you guys doing? Doing well. Can't complain. Cannot complain. Glad to have you back with us. Hopefully, you had a good trip and a good time. But glad to have you back this morning. All right. Several things have happened throughout the sports world, and of course, as we look at it, we can continue to break that down. But one of those things that happened last week was Nick Saban said a word, and it kind of went nuts and bonkers. And love to get your thoughts on that as well. So we'll start off with the word parody, word association. You ever play word association, Xavier? Well, hey, we're going to play a little word association. So go ahead and make sure that as we play that you kind of give a little bit about what you think. So like I said, the first word is parody. No, it's not. No. The way it works is not the context. What's your when you hear the word parody? What does it mean? Not what Nick Saban said. The unknown. What do you mean by the unknown?
up anyway within the situation.
Okay, when it comes to college football, do we have parity? Have we ever had parity?
I think currently there is a small level of parity, and I think parity used to be a little bigger, but not as much as people want to make it out.
Okay. So do you think Nick Saban, when he was saying what he said, that college football was based on parity, was Nick Saban being funny, or was that a legit comment?
I believe, I believe, I believe it was a legit comment from him, but I think we can't look at it in this. Oh, it has to be a complete. You don't know who. You were never guaranteed, in my opinion, for a long time to know who for sure who the number one and number two teams were going to be in playing for the national championship. But when you have the top four, it ends up being a little less because that 1 through 4 through recent history tends to be the same team.
Okay, yeah, I mean, kind of. I think there's been a little bit of replacement in one of those top fours, or maybe two, that are going to have to prove that they belong. And ironically, they're semi connected at the hip. Clemson's going to have to show that they are still part of the blue blood college football playoff regulars after their fall off last year. Oklahoma, with Venables as the head coach, is going to have to prove that he can keep them performing at the level Lincoln Riley had them performing at before. So that's going to be interesting. Georgia has made their way there. Alabama's been consistently there, and Ohio State's been consistently there. So now the question kind of becomes: will those three remain? And which one of those other two, or will there be a new one? So we're going to talk. We're going to go to break here, come back on the other side, and we'll figure out if that is going to be the case, if whether or not um, parity really has never existed, and whether or not Nick Saban, when he was saying parity, what was he really talking about? So we'll move to the next segment right here. Word association. We started off with the word parity. We got several other words to get to, but we're going to dig a little deeper on that parity comment because of the angle that Xavier took on. You kind of know who the top one or two was before college football playoff, and now the top four. I mean, you didn't know who 1 and 2 were, but you kind of knew where the top four. Is there 5 or 6 teams that gonna battle out year in and year out for those top 4 spots? If so, who are they? Is there a changing of guard potentially amongst the top 4 to 8 teams, and who those teams might be? We'll talk about that and more right here on the Martin Houston Show. Want to invite you to get in on the conversation as part of the Alabama One hotline, 205-342-9904. Alabama One has a great promotion going on right now. We're about halfway through the second quarter promotion, and we would love to encourage you to come check them out, alabama1.org. Whether you're purchasing a commercial and ag equipment, or you're purchasing a boat, RVs, UTVs, RVs, etc., golf cart, come on over to Alabama One or go online and complete the application. And if you get approved, you can win a big green egg. That's Alabama One, one together.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, everything pretty quiet on the roadways as we start our Wednesday morning. Of course, if you do see conditions throughout the day that folks need to hear about, just give me a call, 205-886-8886. And you can get a lifetime powertrain warranty on
Some of the services available upon request. Brought to you by this station, the Alabama Broadcasting Association.
Straight Talk Wireless now has the new iPhone 13 with cinematic mode, which lets you focus on what matters. And with Straight Talk, you can focus on getting the best deal. Our Silver Unlimited plan is just $45 a month for unlimited talk, text, and data. And it runs on the largest, most dependable networks, now with nationwide 5G. With the iPhone 13 on Straight Talk, you can share whatever you want, wherever you want. Straight Talk Wireless. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com.
Tuscaloosa Tire and Service, they've got the big brands you know and trust. Goodyear, Firestone, Bridgestone, Cooper, and they can finance for you as well. When you need routine maintenance and alignment, a tune-up, whatever it is, belts, hoses, just basic stuff, or when you don't know what's wrong with your car, truck, or SUV, make it Tuscaloosa Tire and Service. They're dependable, they're trustworthy. That's why they've lasted for over 36 years. Skyline Boulevard, McFarland Boulevard East, in Northport on Lurleen Wallace Boulevard. Check out the website, TuscaloosaTireandService.com.
Colorectal cancer doesn't stop for COVID-19. Hello, I'm Dr. Cecilia Barrington. If you are age 45 or older, it's time to return to care and get tested. The government requires insurance companies to cover not only colonoscopy, but a range of tests, including virtual colonoscopy and other less invasive exams. Talk to your doctor about your options today. For more information on virtual colonoscopy, visit radiologyinfo.org.
The Oak Ridge Boys, front porch singing to it. The legendary Oak Ridge Boys. Saturday, May 28th, 8 p.m. Center Stage at Silver Star Casino. Get tickets now at PearlRiverResort.com. The Oak Ridge Boys, front porch singing tour. Must be 21.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Heat levels rising today. Lots of sunshine, the high at 93. Tonight clear with the low at 70. Tomorrow and Friday, the hottest weather so far this year. A good supply of sunshine both days. Highs up in the middle 90s, between 93 and 96. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 60 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Scott Smith and Sophomart Design, doing business for 17 plus years, specializing in graphic design services, commercial printing, promotional products, advertising specialties, and so much more. Basically, any and everything you would need to advertise, promote, and grow your business. Through strong partnerships, strong customer service, and creative ideas, they'll help you market and grow your business. Give Scott a call at 205-292-4680 or email scottis@comcast.net and visit them online at sophmartdesign.com.
Interact with the Martin Houston Show by calling us at 205-342-9904. Tuning into the Martin Houston Show on Facebook.
I think one of the things that I'd like to see us be able to work back to is everything in college football has always had parity. The same scholarship, the same academic support, healthcare, whatever it is. And, I don't think we have that balance right now, which could affect, the parity of college football and college athletics as a whole. So, I know we got a lot of good people working on it, and I'm sure they'll come up with a good solution for us.
That's Coach Nick Saban at the Regents Tournament talking about parity. And, of course, everyone jumped on the bandwagon and started making jokes about Nick Saban and showing his winning streaks against SEC schools. But once again, they're not listening to what the man said. We're doing a little word association with the word parity. And Xavier said that it kind of, when you have parity, you have it's predictable. I mean, it's unpredictable what's going to happen when you don't have parity. In other words, if Alabama is clearly the better team, or Georgia's clearly the better team than everybody else, it's just not a whole lot of drama. That's why uh, most the Georgia Alabama game was so well watched, because you really didn't know, because there was parity between those two teams. Nick Saban wasn't talking about parity equaling performance. That's not what he's talking about, and that's what people don't understand about the word parity. It's not about performance when you say parity. What he was talking about, he's talking about what you provide from the school to the player has always been pretty much the same. In other words, the NCAA has regulated that. And now with the NIL being added to the transfer portal, parity not so much, because one school can offer whatever they want for a particular player. If I was going to recruit another player legally now, according to the rules, I couldn't offer that player anything that he wasn't getting from like school. In other words, USC couldn't offer Jordan Addison more money. They could offer him a scholarship and a better environment and maybe better facilities, but Pittsburgh could go out and build those same facilities and be on par with them. But now with this NIL, parity is a new game. So we're going to talk about that and the impact it has on the college football playoffs. Has has this parity or lack of parity or change in parity, is it going to change those top six? But before we get to that conversation, X and Joe, we need to get a caller in, and we got Alan. Alan, you in with the Martin Houston Show with X and O Sports. Xavier Houston on the Alabama Hotline. What's on your mind, sir?
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
I'm just thinking about that, what you just said. And I'm a big baseball fan. In baseball, you have the minor leagues, so to speak, and always the Yankees is always the top. They go out there and spend all the big money and get the big money, but they don't always win. You got the smaller markets like the Braves and the Tampa Bay Devil Rays,
Yep.
things like that that come up and win. I'm sorry, Tampa Bay Rays. I'm not the Devil Rays. Tampa Bay Rays. And football, as long as you got that NIL, that's the bigger teams with the most money are going to be the top team. But the only way to do that is to develop the players and and somehow get them to stay at your school and develop them. I was just thinking about the NIL. You still can have it as long as you make them stay at least 2 years, 3 years, and then on that fourth year you can leave. It has to be that fourth year you can leave. That's the only way you're gonna be able to do anything with that NIL and parity.
Yeah, and I had someone else tell me. I saw them at a local restaurant, and they said, "Don't give NIL for the first year." And that sounds great, but then of course you're going to get sued, because you're preventing that group from making money. But I thought, hey, that's an interesting idea. First year you have to, show. That you're at least committed or whatever, but it's not supposed to be associated with the school. So that's what's going to be interesting to see how they navigate this. X or Joe, you guys have any comments on what Alan just shared?
Yeah, that sounds great, but that just means all these guys that go to school for a year, show out, blow up, have a great freshman season, they'll just leave a year after that.
Or will they?
This is true.
I mean, it's just a guy that that's what you're seeing now. Jordan Addison, nobody. It took him to his sophomore year, but Jordan Addison is now a big name, a hot commodity, because he's the reigning Biletnikoff one.
Well, you also had a point where these kids are foregoing their senior season in high school to enroll in college to get those big NIL deals.
Yeah. So that it's going to be interesting to see how they navigate this NIL, and like I said, and the scary part is NCAA and Congress may end up having to work together, and that may be two of the most inept organizations at implementing and making any worthwhile changes of any organizations in the world. So I I don't have a lot of faith that those two organizations working together will get anything accomplished. So.
So what you're saying, Martin, is that in the next 10 years we can do a Supreme Court battle about this NIL deal.
Yeah, because those two organizations working together to solve anything could be a nightmare. So, all right.
Another Mark Claret deal.
All right, thanks, Alan. Appreciate you, sir. Bye. All right. Hey, back to the parody comment, X and Joe. Joe, do you want to do the word association? And when you hear the word parody, what it makes you think of, real quick?
Well, it makes me think Nick Saban's delusional, my friend.
Do you think he was talking about parody in terms of the performance, or parody in terms of just the scholarship? Because he specifically says scholarship, healthcare, and what we give him in college football. I mean, in college athletics as a whole. I don't think he was talking about parody in the terms of that we're all the same. I don't know. I don't know that you can ever do anything to legislate performance parody.
That's perfectly fine. That's up to the athletes and the coaches and the kind of how the playing how the games play out. But Nick Saban's delusional, my friend, because think about what Nick Saban has done to the recruiting budget at the University of Alabama, and what he has done to the recruiting budget at the University of Georgia, and all the schools who want to play in the recruiting world have upped their game over the last 15 years because of Coach Saban. You talked about they have the ability. Sure, the colleges do have. Anybody can spend, I guess, that much money, but not everybody has that much money. Nick Saban coming to Tuscaloosa, really getting the boosters all lined up in the same area, getting the fundraisers all lined up in the same area. My friend Dan Levitar tells the story of winning. He says Nick Saban wins the national championship against Notre Dame in 2011, 2012, and he is on the plane heading back to Tuscaloosa, drawing up. I need this. I need that. I need this. I need more to get these players into the program. And other schools can't keep up with that. So I think that Coach Saban is a little out of delusional with the resources that Alabama has as a university compared to other colleges across America and the resources that they have.
So, but Joe, is that in reality though? If you take the top 20 programs, do they not have the same access to the resources? But yet he still stands above all but a couple.
I'm sorry, Martin. I was lining up a couple
Oh,
calls.
you go ahead. What I was saying is, and that's fine. What I'm saying is, what he was talking about is what the NCAA gives. That's what, and I think that's what he made. That's how he couched that, is what the NCAA gives has always been parity. Okay.
Control any sort of recruiting budget and or NIL money. So both, I mean, he's exactly right. And in those terms,
Right.
you still have parity. You
And,
still have scholarship.
and so here becomes the question. The parity issue then is how committed people are to college football. Because yeah, there's a lot that don't have that budget, but there's a lot that do, and they're still not there. They're still not committed as Alabama is. You can see Clemson is, Ohio State is, Georgia is, right? Would you agree with that?
I would.
Okay, so a lot of the teams that are complaining, and a lot of the teams that laughed about that, there's SEC schools that get enough money from the league, and most of it made because of the Nick Saban effect that could compete more, but they are not willing to make that investment. So,
would you say that those same schools would be likely to take advantage of the NIL? I would argue no. I would argue that they're still in the same boat.
do what now?
You talk about the other SEC schools that are not investing at the same level of Alabama, and they certainly have the opportunity to. But even in the NIL era, which is kind of what Coach Saban was getting on to, or getting after a little bit, asking for guardrails or asking for guidance, those schools, the Mississippi States or what have you, still have the opportunity to operate in the NIL era, but I'm not sure that they will.
Yeah, but I would say that there are some guidelines around, even though Nick Saban has a crazy recruiting budget, there are guidelines around recruiting. Some, not much, but some, and there's none on the NIL. And I think that's the crazy part of the NIL conversation is there are no guardrails from the NCAA, period, because if a state has laws, the state overrules the laws. So kind of an interesting conversation. We got a couple calls coming up, so we need to get to those. So you guys get ready to respond to that. Come back on the other side. We'll do a rapid fire, hey, that's why we do this show. I had a bunch of words for word association, and we're still on parity, Joe and X. So, and I think we had a couple of people call that want to talk about that. Curtis Lewis getting in on the conversation said he's talking parity and benefits, including financial. Blind Squirrel Sports says, good call, Joe. Prince Kirby has benefited from Georgia's need to upgrade their facilities due to the Saban fact. Come back on the other side. We'll get those call-ins, and you're in with X's and O's Sports, Xavier Houston on the Martin Houston Show.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, everything pretty quiet on the roadways as we start our Wednesday morning. Of course, if you do see conditions throughout the day that folks need to hear about, just give me a call, 205-886-8886. Now you can get a lifetime powertrain warranty on any used car at Townsend Nissan. See dealer for details. I'm Captain Ray.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about one of our great sponsors, Overflow Express Wash. Their mission is to provide great customer service with a showroom clean car and an exceptional customer service experience. They have the basic car wash that starts at $7, but you need to check out the premium wash packages, which start as low as $12 and go up to $20. They also have a membership wash club that you can get for starting at $23.99, going up to $39.99. In other words, just double the regular premium package, drop a penny, and you can be one of the great members of Overflow Express Wash. My family and I keep our cars looking good inside and out by using Overflow Express Wash. They're located on Skyland Boulevard, right next door to Alabama 1, or you can find them online at overflowexpresswash.com. Andy Phillips and his team look forward to making you a part of their team.
Don't go through another summer with that awful joint pain. Call QC Kinetics now. Hey, it's Gary Harris. That pain in your back, your knees, your shoulders, it can now be treated with the latest in precision medicine using natural biologics, growth factors that can restore and repair damaged tissue. Really exciting stuff here, folks. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative medicine, giving you access right here to this modern-day joint pain solution. You can get lasting joint pain relief with no drugs, no steroids, no downtime, and no surgery. You've heard Emmett Smith raving about QC Kinetics. You've read or seen other high-profile people talking about it. Regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics can help you get your life back. Take action now. Get a free consultation. Powerful, effective joint pain treatments with natural biologics are here. Call QC Kinetics now at 205-686-1941 in Tuscaloosa and Birmingham. 205-686-1941. That's 205-686-1941.
How do you make the most of your land? If you ask the Wrens, who run with us on a John Deere mower, they tell you,
I mow first, then I do all the trimming.
But the Hubbards, who work behind the wheel, the John Deere compact tractor would say,
if it's something you want, just go after it and try it.
Then there's the Mosers, who may mention from the seat of their John Deere Gator UTV,
you can't be all work and not play.
There are millions of ways to make the most of your land. Learn how to make the most of yours at Deere.com. Nothing runs like a deer.
Nick Saban calls it the process. John Maxwell said that everything rises and falls on it. And Coach Wooden said it's what you learn after you think you know it all that makes the difference. What am I talking about? Leadership and personal development. Is your organization, your school, your church, your family, are they receiving the proper level of leadership development and personal development? If not, the Empowerment Center for Leadership and Mentoring can help you with that. We have our pep talks, which is a 1 to 1.5 hour lunch and learn, which we can customize to meet your needs, or we have some topics that we present that we know can help your organization. And if you're looking for one-on-one mentoring and coaching, we can also assist you with that. Visit peptalks35.com. That's peptalks35.com, or send an email to martin@martinhouston.org. That's the Empowerment Center for Leadership and Mentoring.
Welcome back to the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team, on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9. We have a couple of callers we're going to get to, but question I'm going to throw out there is Joe said that he was delusional. I'm asking the question, was he being deceptive, or was he being hypocritical? Was he being honest? And does the Nick Saban parody, desiring parody, benefit him or the other schools more? Is this going to be one of those statements that we look at some point in the future, just like his, hey, do you want to have it where we're letting linemen go down the field? Do you want to change this recruiting guideline? Do you want to have this transfer portal? Is his statement going to be one of those statements that was a warning to college football? If you do this, parody's going to get worse, because I'm going to, just like I took advantage of recruiting and spread the gap, I'm going to take advantage of NIL and spread the gap. Was it a warning shot across the bow for Nick Saban to the rest of the college football world, and they missed it thinking he was saying it for his benefit? Think about that as we bring in Leon. Leon, you're in with the Martin Houston Show. What's on your mind, sir?
Good morning, Martin. How are you?
Good.
Hey, I'm having a problem with people saying Nick Saban is delusional. Use of the term parody. You know, these people who are saying this, and Joe, I love Joe. I really do. But I think Joe is delusional in his interpretation of the term parody. Now, let me give an example. If you gave Joe a bicycle, and you gave me a bicycle, and Joe had the ability to ride his bicycle to Mountain Brook in Birmingham, and I could only go from the radio station where y'all are to University of Alabama campus. Okay, could I say it's not parody, but you gave both the same tools? See, here's what you gotta look at. If Mississippi State wins all of this SEC games and all of this non-scheduled games, they're going to Atlanta for the SEC championship. They win the SEC championship, guess what? The committee will put them in the playoffs. Now, that's Mississippi State I'm talking about. Okay, what you got to do is use what's there for you. The parity is there. Your utilization of the tools is what the problems will always be. There's parity in everything. You think they're going to take the money from the rich man and give it to the poor man because the poor man don't have the ability to get rich? He got opportunity. There is parity. And people who are disillusioned about the term are the ones who think that Nick Saban is disillusional in the fact that the parity will be damaged, because the parity will be damaged. And he's not talking about it's going to hurt him. He's talking about it's going to hurt those that already hurt. Those that y'all already talking about ain't no parity. There is parity. Every time you start a football game, you got the same stuff on both sidelines. The same stuff. Now, your ability to utilize the tool is where the level of parity comes in. You know, you can't do nothing if you don't do what it takes you. It gets you where you need to be.
All right.
Preparation, man. I keep on talking about it. Preparation.
All right. All right, Leon. X, what your thoughts?
No, I mean, I kind of have to agree with that. Everybody's given the same basic set of tools. It's what you do with it and that propels you from there.
Joe, rebuttal?
I mean, I appreciate Leon's perspective, absolutely, but Nick Saban's riding a bicycle with a motor on the back with his recruiting budget.
But did Saban build more than your motorbike? Now, that's what you do. Parity now.
Xavier said, did the NCAA give Nick Saban the motor, or did Nick Saban put a motor on his bike because the rules didn't say he couldn't?
Bear Bryant put the motor on that bike.
Always is this right here. Don't complain about what the next man got. Go get the same thing this man had. Well, let me tell you something. Here's when you consider it's not parity. When somebody is being systematically denied something, the same opportunity as the next man. Okay, I don't see that, for instance, nowhere. They're not telling you, saying, well, you can do this, but Coach so-and-so can't do that. I'm not seeing that happen. What I'm seeing happen is Nick Saban's effort is trumping other efforts. And Alabama's effort is trumping and dominating the league. Hey, man, that don't mean you can't do it. You have no one. Well, I want you to just stop doing so good so my bag can look good. No, that's not how it
goes. Just real quick, can I ask you a question? What happens when a coach does really well at a small school? Don't they typically move up to big schools with bigger opportunities and bigger resources?
Joe, I agree with you in part. I want you to understand one thing so you can take that blind off. Nobody's giving anybody anything. You're earning it. Nobody's giving you nothing. And that's in life. No one is giving anyone anything. When you see people that succeed, I promise you behind their success is a whole bunch of hard work, labors, and toil.
Yeah.
Now, if we're going to complain about someone being rewarded for working hard, then we need to say, well, everybody, we just don't sit down and we're going to just hand this stuff out, mail it out. You get this, you get that, you get that.
Hey, Leon, and Leon, I think let me say what Leon's saying this way, Joe. What he's saying is Nick Saban is operating within the rules that are established, and there are no guidelines. So even though Nick Saban, there isn't parity in college football when it comes to how the teams are performing. When Nick Saban came to Alabama, all the resources that Nick Saban has now were the same resources that the other coaches before him had access to, and they didn't maximize it. So is it the resources, or is it what the coach does with the resources? Because Texas and Texas A&M and some of those schools have more resources than Alabama year in and year out, but they're not having the same results. I think that's what Leon is trying to say is that they're not limiting these other schools and saying, hey, Nick Saban is going out and spending this much on recruiting, so you can't. The school itself may limit it, or the resources available to that school may limit it. But that's not that's a to me that's a function of the NCAA doesn't need to have 130 Division I schools, and then it's just like NFL putting in a salary cap and all those things in the markets to try to help bring about some level of parity. So, thanks, Leon. I appreciate that. I think we have another call we need to get to. Let me make sure who we got here. We got Tom. Tom, you in with the Martin Hughes Show. What's on your mind, sir?
Hey, Mark. How are you? Leon, I want to say what a great call that was, and I can can tell Leon has got experience and wisdom from that experience. And but Leon said something that I think everybody needs to stop and think about. And you brought it up as well, Mark, is, you know, we need to do a study on words and context and original meanings and how words are used in construction of sentences and stuff like that. Because everybody that is complaining about Coach Saban is misinterpreted the word parody, and they want the word to be fair. They want it to be fair. And they screwed up the meaning of the word, and it's absolutely laughable that people cannot grasp what's going on in terms of words in the English language, and it gets worse by the day. And, but I wanted to also bring up that Congress is the wrong place and look for a solution, and this is why. What a lot of people don't understand is the legislative branch of the federal government was constructed under the founding fathers to be contentious and not easy to pass laws. And when everybody said, "Oh, they can't work together," that's right, because that's the way it was designed to be contentious, to make people have to form uh, like-minded people to get things done. And but the original form of the Constitution allowed for the legislative branch to be contentious. So don't be surprised when they can't do anything. It is their IQ, but a lot of it is the original intent of the legislative branch of the Constitution.
I tell people that the reason our country is so divided and more divided now than ever before is because a lot of these jokers are in it for the money, and our system was set up that there has to be division. And the problem is from generation to generation to generation, Tom, whatever one generation does in moderation, the next generation does in excess. And now we've reached that boiling point where everybody has moved as far as the media and all of that to the fringes. The majority of America is in the middle, but to make things to get elected and to all those things, people have to throw up the fringe so that, to your point, there can be some contention. All right, all right.
You watch any of the networks,
Yeah.
any of them, and you listen to any of the politicians, they will tell you as an African American man and me as a white man that we hate each other. You and I know that that's a crop.
Yeah.
No, it's a crop.
Yeah.
But that's what the kind of stuff is being peddled in this country under false pretense, and it's nowhere close to being true.
Yeah, the division doesn't. There is zero benefit to lifelong politicians for division to end. Thanks, Tom. Have a good one. All right, hey guys, real quick. I know we got to go, but I tell you what. Instead of trying to rush through that answer, we're gonna kick that to tomorrow on this. Do you think Saban design parity benefits him or other schools? So that'll be one of the things we kick off tomorrow, and we'll also have a little more word association. Coming back on the other side, we will continue the conversation with Scotty Hollins, Executive Director of Blueprint Ministries.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center to Active Bridge, we do see a bit of congestion on McFarland through the construction zone and learning steady into downtown. If you see other conditions, just give me a call. Now you can get a lifetime powertrain warranty on any used car at Townsend Nissan. See dealer for details. I'm Captain Ray.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
That Wednesday morning, 19-year-old Amon Trayshawn Jones and 18-year-old Tyreek O'Shea Evans have been charged with multiple counts of attempted murder and first-degree assault in connection with the looting of a Find yourself with the need for a custom sized stone or custom shaped stone, then Tuscaloosa Custom Carving can help with that as well. Carl Fuller and his team are waiting on your call right now for that free quote. And if you tell them that Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show told you to stop by, you'll get a big discount. So call.
How they will provide for their families. Well, Ron Bolton has a plan. Ron Bolton will cut taxes on small businesses and working families. Ron Bolton will fight back against D.C. and the liberal policies causing inflation. On May 24th, vote conservative Ron Bolton.
Paid for by Ron Bolton Campaign. P.O. Box 632, Northport, Alabama 35476.
The sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team. The Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9. It's now time for our weekly catch-up with Scotty Hollins, Executive Director of Blueprint Ministries, presented by Johnson and Marshall Dentistry. Johnson Marshall Dentistry, a smile that'll last a lifetime. Go check them out. Dentist Tuscaloosa, dentist with an S, dentisttuscaloosa.com. Good morning, Scotty. How you doing, sir?
Hey, Martin, I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing well, man. I'm going to kick it over to you to encourage us how to incorporate our faith into our children's field of play, whether it's the boardroom, the classroom, wherever we may find ourselves with an opportunity to be a light.
Absolutely. Mark, we are going to continue with our series, The Power of Optimism, and we are following and looking through and walking with Paul through his life and looking at just, his extreme, if I may say, his extreme optimism. And so what I want to do is, as we walk through this, I want to kind of uncover some of the secrets to his optimism. And later on, we'll look at, in the series, we'll look at the benefits of that, just how much he was able to accomplish through some of the deepest and darkest and most difficult situations. He never lost steam. He never lost momentum. He kept moving forward because of his extreme optimism. But just to read a small, short recap, we talked about, when you think about optimism, let's a few quick quotes. First one, life is about 10% what happens to us and 90% how we respond. We've heard that. I really believe that. I mean, I've seen that in action. And then when we think about how we respond, it has everything to do, Martin, with how we see our situation, right?
Yes.
And so, A.W. Tozer quote, remember A.W. Tozer says, hey, the most important thing about you is what you believe about God, because it becomes, what you believe about God becomes the lens through which you see all of life. When you think about that, putting those two things together, how do you respond to this situation has everything to do with how you see it. And A.W. Tozer says, how you see God has everything to do with how you respond to your situation. So you connect those two, and you begin to kind of see a little bit of kind of just what could be happening with Paul, in Paul, that allows him to respond in such an optimistic way through life's most difficult situations. Last week, we looked at Paul being in jail. We were looking at Philippians 1, 12 through 14. Paul's writing to the church of Philippi, and he's talking to a group of believers, trying to encourage them, and he's telling them, listen, I'm in jail, I'm writing a letter to you, but just so you know, don't worry about me, because everything that's happened to me has actually turned out to make Christ known even more. So again, most difficult situation, 10% what happens to you, 90% how you respond. I can think of a lot of
several other ways to respond in that situation, Martin. But in that situation, Paul sees this as he sees the bright side of the situation. And so he says, look, hey, I'm in this situation, I'm in jail, but Christ is being made known. He's being made known to the palace guard, to all the prisoners, and even people outside of this prison, people who have heard about the fact that I'm in jail for preaching Christ, they're being more bold to preach the gospel. And so I want to, before we go to our second one, because that was last week, the second one, so when you can find the bright side of being in jail, bro, you got some serious options. So before we go to the next one, I want to tell you a little bit of his secret. So I think Paul's secret is that Jesus wasn't just a part of his life. You know I'm going with this preacher, right?
Yes. Yep.
Jesus wasn't just a part of his life. Jesus was his life. You follow me? And so everything, he saw his life, the win for every single day for Paul is, will I know Christ more today? Will I become more like Christ today? Will I make him more known today? And so in this situation, it's not kind of some of the things that we can at times measure our success by. Those were his three, metrics, if you will. And as he looked at it this day, he's like, man, I'm in jail. Man, I'm hungry. Man, I want some Kool-Aid. They just keep giving me water. But what he said is, look, here's how I measure success today. Christ is being made known through my life, through my circumstance. Today, we are successful. This is a successful day. And so, so the second one, I'll briefly introduce it. I'll probably recap it next week. So he gets so excited, and he sees the optimism. He sees the bright side of being in jail. And I'll just introduce this one, and we'll get into it next week. So the next one, this is, again, a few verses later, Philippians chapter 1, verses 21 to 26. He says, for me to live is Christ, and to die is gain. You talk about some optimism. He's saying, listen, I can find optimism in death. I can find the bright side of death. And he says, if I'm going to go on living in this body, this will mean fruitful labor for me. Yet, what shall I choose? I do not know. I am torn between the two. I desire to depart and be with Christ, which is better by far. But it is more necessary for you that I remain in the body. Convinced of this, I know that I will remain and I will continue with all of you for your progress in joy and faith, so that through my being with you again and boasting in Christ Jesus, so through my being with you again, your boasting in Christ Jesus will abound on account of me. Here's the question. The challenge is not what are you going through. You got that? The challenge is what lens are you looking through. If Paul can find out the bright side of being in jail, if he can find the bright side of death, then guess what? I'm not minimizing anything that we're going through, but I'm saying, hey, we can find the bright side if we're looking through the right lens. And we'll keep exploring that lens.
Absolutely. Thank you, Scotty. And I do a teaching called The Power of Perspective, and how you see things can determine how you respond to things. Will determine how you respond. And that's a great word for your relationship with Christ, but it's also a great word for relationship with your spouse, and a great response for relationships, friendships, your boss, etc. So these messages, of course, are spiritual in nature from Scotty and I, but they apply to our everyday life because God didn't save us to not be in the world. Of this world, but to actually be in it and living amongst it with power and perspective. So thanks for that encouraging word, Scotty, and tell the listeners where they can find you.
Absolutely. You can go to www.blueprint.com. You can send me a message there. Come straight to my email.
All right. That's Scotty Hollins, Executive Director, Blueprint Ministry, presented by Johnson & Marshall Dentistry. Thank you, sir. All right. Thanks, X. Tell the listeners where they can find you, sir.
Yes, sir. You can find me X on Sports. X is in Sports on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and all other platforms.
All right. And thanks, Joe. Thanks to all the caller, listeners, viewers, and chatters for a great show. We'll be back tomorrow. Hey, did Saban do that for his benefit or their benefit when he was talking about parity? That and more on tomorrow For everyone, remember this: trust in the Lord always, lean not your own understanding, always acknowledge Him, and He will direct your path. Roll Tide, everybody.
Thank you for listening to the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9
Have a good one, Joe.
and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.